Tonight at 6 on TV2 News, Kent State held their annual prairie burn behind the rec center. What's the significance behind it and why Kent State does it?
An Ohio committee plans to raise the minimum wage. Find out what your wage could raise to.
With doubts going around about re-election, President Biden announced he will be seeking a second term in office today. What does it mean for Americans and how the 2024 election will look?
And Netflix plans to expand its future projects. All of these stories and more as TV2 News starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
Good evening, Portage County, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Nuried, Hurtado.
And I'm Josh Aponte. We start tonight with the annual prairie burn.
The Kent Fire Department conducted the annual controlled prairie burn around the rec center.
Our own Gabby Jonas was there earlier today and has more details.
I am here at Kent State's annual prairie burn, where the Kent State Fire Department is coming together to help burn away old prairie grass and help bring in the new. And as you can see behind me now, the fire is making its way down right in front of the Kent State Student Recreation Center. And now this fire here is not to harm anyone, but to instead help the environment. It's here to help make the animals thrive and also make new plants grow.
We have parking services kind of barricade off the parking lots, as you could see when you were walking around. That way the fire doesn't spread or infringe to anyone's vehicle. The fire department has been gracious enough to come out here and bless us with their presence, with their grass unit and also their pumper. Just in case anything got out of hand, there's water on hand to take care of the situation.
Now, Ohio's former governor, Richard Celeste, was at the Kent State bookstore earlier today, signing his new Kent State University Press book titled In the Heart of It All, an unvarnished account of my life is public service. His book talks about his journey from Northeast Ohio to Yale, Oxford, the governor's residence, and beyond. Richard Frank Celeste was born on November 11, 1937 in Cleveland, Ohio, and served as Ohio's governor from January 10, 1983 to January 14, 1991.
And Kent will be home to the American Roots Music Festival, which is sponsored by Wayside Furniture. The festival will take place on Friday, April 28th. The festival will feature performances by Eric Street, Ella Choi, City of Invention, and many more.
Okay, Josh, I don't know about you, but I really like this temperature. Today was really nice outside.
Today was nice. After a couple cold days, it's starting to get a little bit warmer. I'm hoping Abby Forbes has got some good news for us coming up, though. What's up, Abby?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is still a little bit chilly out there, but we were teased with that warm weather last week, and the cold is really back at it full force. So let's take a look at right now in Kent. It is 47 degrees with it feeling like 44 because of that wind chill that's going on there. So that wind is going northwest-northwest, 6 miles per hour, and the humidity is 49% out there. So it's a little bit sticky out there, and it's a little bit chilly as well. But looking a little closer into tonight and into tomorrow morning, we're going to see those temperatures drop a little bit, but with the clouds parting a little bit, as we're going to get partly cloudy at night, and then it's going to come back into cloudy in the morning. So that temperature is going to drop a little bit as those clouds part ways a little bit, but as they come back in the morning, the temperatures are still going to continue to drop. As we get into a little bit closer tonight after the newscast, we will see the temperature drop a little bit as well with that slight wind chill that I mentioned earlier. But as I said earlier, that wind chill is going 4 miles per hour, and it's going to be a little bit windy, but not too bad. And that sunset is still getting later because despite the temperatures out there, we are getting into summer times. So the sun is going to be setting later, even though it is still going to be chilly out there. But that's all I have for right now. Later tonight, we'll be taking a look at the weather for the rest of Ohio and into the rest of the week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Abby. Now, dozens of students clashed with anti-abortion advocates on Risman Plaza today. Members of the Center for Bioethical Reform set up on Risman Plaza with large banners displaying bloody images of fetuses and abortion. The group, which travels the country with its displays, was on campus yesterday, but there were few counter-protesters compared to today's demonstration.
Protesters marched in front of the Akron Justice Center on Monday evening, protesting the shooting death of Jayland Walker. Protesters then placed red carnations in front of the Justice Center when they arrived. The carnations held messages like, quote, justice. After laying down the flowers, the crowd started chanting as they continued their march.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine awarded more than $4,200 million today to support physical safety and security upgrades at 624 Ohio schools. The funding comes as part of the 5th round of Ohio's K-12 school safety grant program. This new round of funding brings the total number of schools served by this program to 2,879, and the total amount of funding awarded to more than $215 million. In Portage County, schools in Brimfield, Suffield, Rootstown, Streetsboro, Maplewood, and Waterloo will receive funding.
The Raise the Wage Ohio Coalition is collecting signatures for a ballot measure that would raise the minimum wage in Ohio to $15 by 2026. Ohio's current minimum wage is currently $10.10, which is one of the lowest in the nation. If there is enough signatures collected, then the bill could be on the upcoming November ballot.
In Washington, President Biden gave remarks on the economy in America. What did he say today, Early?
Twitter might have a new rival. Find out what competition the app might have.
Tomorrow's news leaders.
Today's top stories.
From an award-winning student newsroom.
This is TV2 News, truly Portage County.
Welcome back. President Joe Biden has formally announced his bid for re-election, ending any lingering doubts about his intentions and setting off a possible rematch with his 2020 presidential rival.
In his video announcement, the president says next year's election is a fight against Republican extremism and that he needs more time to realize his vow to restore the nation's character. Ivan Rodriguez has the latest.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are.
Tuesday morning, President Joe Biden launched his bid for re-election 4 years to the day he made his 2020 bid. In that presidential race, Biden's mission was to restore the country's character and prevent Trump from securing a second term. This time around, Biden says his work isn't finished.
The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer.
The Republican National Committee quickly responding with an AI-generated video of imagined scenarios.
We can now call the 2024 presidential race for Joe Biden.
The president enters the race with a significant legislative record but low approval ratings. An NBC News poll conducted before Biden's announcement finds just 26% of Americans think Biden should run for a second term, and nearly half of those people who oppose a Biden run say his age is a major reason.
I think we should remember, we didn't think he could pull it off 4 years ago, and look what he's done.
Thank you.
Speaking at a union event, the president highlighted his work the last 4 years.
Finish the job. We just remember who we are. We are the United States of America.
As of now, Biden's advisors say the president does not intend to hold re-election campaign rallies until Republicans have a presumptive nominee. What Biden could begin sooner is a heavier schedule of fundraising. I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Now, President Biden gave remarks today on the current state of the economy, and conflict in the House over the debt ceiling is on the rise.
TV2's Anthony Leonardi joins us now to update us on the details. Hi, Anthony.
Thanks, guys. President Joe Biden gave remarks today on his current take on unions.
I make no apologies for being labeled the most pro-union president in American history. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. I really am. Wall Street didn't build America. The middle class built America, and unions built the middle class. They did. That's the God's truth.
President Biden held the speech after announcing his bid for re-election in 2024. In his speech, he highlighted his economic agenda moving forward. President Biden said, quote, "I make no apologies for being labeled the most pro-union president in American history. I'm proud of it. I really am." He also went on to say Wall Street did not build America, the middle class did, and unions built the middle class.
The idea that he won't even negotiate for more than 80 days, he is now putting the country in default. We're the only ones being responsible and sensible about this.
That was Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy on Biden's plans for the debt ceiling. The United States hit the debt ceiling in January, and the Treasury Department has been financially keeping the country steady. The deadline for a default is approaching, and President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are still at odds on the matter. According to McCarthy, he has enough support to get his debt limit legislation through in the next expected vote in the House. This week, the bill includes a $1.5 trillion addition to the debt ceiling, but also comes with cuts to domestic spending programs. Be sure to stay tuned and catch me later in our second half hour of the show with more on the latest with President Joe Biden.
Welcome back to your weather forecast this evening. Now let's take a closer look across Ohio tonight. So looking across northeast Ohio, you can see that we're pretty much in the same range of the high 40s to low 50s. But as you look further into the rest of Ohio, you can see that it gets a little bit warmer as we go down south and towards the west. So over in Dayton and Columbus, it's at 56 degrees. Down in Cincinnati, it's at a nice 60 degrees. Up in Lima, it's at 54. And comparing that to Akron, which is not that far from us, at 49, you can see that range of temperatures that we see tonight across Ohio. So looking at our 7-day forecast for the week, we are going to see a lot of rain come into play. So we're good for today through Friday, but then the rain starts to come in as we get into the end of the week and into tomorrow, or into next week, sorry. So looking at tomorrow, we see partly cloudy conditions with the high being 54, and it does get a little bit warmer on Thursday at 63 with those clouds still remaining. And those clouds are really going to come into play as we get into the end of the week and the rain starts to come. So we can see those showers really starting to come in on Friday, and we're going to have lighter showers on Saturday, heavier rain on Sunday, and then those lighter showers continue on Monday and Tuesday. But that's all the weather I have for you right now. But in our 6:30 show, I will be going over our forecast again for this evening. I've been Abby Forbes. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Abby. Now going to New York, jury selection is set to begin today in the trial accusing former President Donald Trump of sexual assault. E. Jean Carroll filed a suit against Trump, and she alleges he sexually assaulted her in the dressing room of a luxury department store in the 1990s. Trump has denied the allegation and claims he never met Carroll. Once the jury is seated, panel members will remain anonymous to protect them from any potential threats.
7 people were arrested after an outburst in support of a transgender lawmaker in the Montana State House. Monday, supporters of the state representative Zoe Zeifer loudly voiced their support during a House floor session. The Montana Highway Patrol arrested 7 adults for criminal trespass, and authorities say that they were all eventually released without bond.
Elon Musk's Twitter might be getting competition from an app backed by the man who co-founded Twitter itself, Jack Dorsey. The new Dorsey-backed platform called Blue Sky is invite-only, and it's attracting users as a potential alternative to Twitter. According to analytics firm Data AI, iPhone users have now downloaded Blue Sky 245,000 times. More than half of those downloads came this month, and Blue Sky recently added an Android app as well.
And Netflix plans to invest $2.5 billion over the next 4 years to produce Korean TV shows, movies, and reality shows. CEO Ted Sarandos announced the plans after meeting with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol Monday. Sarandos said that the investment is double what the streaming company has invested in South Korea between 2016 and 2022.
The Banana Song singer Harry Belafonte has died today. His publicists say the iconic singer and actor died of congestive heart failure Tuesday morning. Belafonte became a movie star after acting in the film version of the Broadway musical Carmen Jones. He was an ardent activist in the civil rights movement and close friend of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. He also led a campaign against apartheid in South Africa and befriended Nelson Mandela. Mattel just announced a new addition to the Barbie universe. Who is the new member of the Dream House?
The Kent State softball team just wrapped up a game against Buffalo. Find out more after the break.
Mattel introduced a new Barbie representing a person with Down syndrome. For an accurate representation, Mattel says it worked with the National Down Syndrome Society on the doll's shape, clothing, accessories, and packaging. The Barbie features a shorter frame and longer torso, and also has a rounder face, smaller ears, a flat nasal bridge, and slightly slanted eyes. As for the doll's clothes, she is wearing pink ankle-foot orthopedics, zip sneakers, a puffy sleeve dress, and a special necklace. Now, a younger generation and illegal foreign fishing boats are just two of the new wrinkles in a long-running reality series set off the Alaskan coast.
David Daniel has a look in today's Hollywood Minute.
Fishermen are always on the front lines. This is about defending our grounds, no matter what.
The new season of Deadliest Catch is underway. Illegal fishing prompted by soaring Alaskan crab prices is making the work even more dangerous, prompting older and younger captains in the competitive industry to work together to a point.
Normally it's all the old timers wanting to stick to themselves and the young guns working really hard to outbeat you guys, but this year we actually did work together.
And why should I give my secrets away to some young guy? I mean, come on, I earned it.
Well, we
Been there a
want
long
to keep the
time.
fisheries going. Who do you think's going to take over?
I even lie to you if I have to. I'm not just going to hand over the silver platter. You don't just take the throne. It doesn't work that way.
The 19th season of Deadliest Catch is now playing on Discovery Channel and Discovery Plus. Staying dry in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
So, Josh, have you ever went fishing or anything like that?
I have not, unfortunately. No fishing for me. Not a big fishing guy. What about you?
I tried it one time when I was like really small and young, but
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah, that's valid.
Well, that's all the time we have for you right now. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at 6.
But don't go anywhere. We'll have more updates at 6:30. I'm Josh Aponte.
And I'm Nuried Hurtado. Tonight at 6:30 on TV2 News, Kent State held their annual Prairie Burn behind the Rec Center. What's the significance behind it and why Kent State does it?
And get ready to rock, Kent. What music festival is coming soon to a city near you?
A wage coalition in Ohio is looking to have a ballot to raise the minimum wage. What their goal is and what it means for Ohioans.
And the First Lady takes to Twitter. Find out about all these stories and more as TV2's second half-hour broadcast starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
Good evening, Portage County, and thank you so much for joining us for the last Tuesday newscast of the semester. I'm Nuried Hurtado.
And I'm Josh Aponte. We continue our coverage with the annual Prairie Burn.
The Kent Fire Department conducted the annual controlled Prairie Burn around the Rec Center.
Our own Gabby Jonas was there earlier today and has more details.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm live right here in front of the rec where the Kent State annual Prairie Burn took place earlier today. And as you can see behind me, the remaining of the ash from today's burn. Take a look.
We do a prescribed burn typically every year.
Right outside the Student Recreation Center, the Kent Fire Department and staff came together for the annual Prairie Burn. Rebecca Berryhill, Kent State's ground department manager, says the burn mimics nature.
We're forcing nature into like an urban situation, so we want to try to provide the plants, the animals, the insects, everything, sort of the same ecosystem that it would have had if it was like naturally occurring.
The burn targeting certain times of the year to get rid of unwanted surface weeds.
The cool season weeds have a much shorter root. Their roots go into the soil maybe 2 or 3 inches, where the prairie grass can go down and some of the prairie plants can go down like 8 to 10 feet. Not only are we providing nutrients, but we're kicking out the stuff that shouldn't be there. And then we also have this gorgeous, deep black dark matter on top, which will heat up the ground. When the sun hits, it'll absorb the heat and cause a nice growth of the desired plants.
Now, in order to make these prairies be on fire, firemen are using an object called flares, a stick-like object similar to a firecracker, but instead make these prairies burn. As the wind moves the fire quickly, Kent State's Fire Safety Coordinator Nicholas Bushek ensures the firefighters' safety.
When we burn the field, our back is always towards safety. It's burning away from us. It's wind-driven. So we want to make sure that we're in the unburned area.
But it's also the animal friends the fire department looks out for as well.
Any of the mammals, like if we have groundhogs, they're safe in their den. The geese, they'll hang out until it's going to be cool enough on their little feet.
Now, the burn only took about 2 hours to make its way fully around the recreation center with the help from today's wind. And next year's prairie burn is set to take place at the same time with the same goal. Reporting live in Kent for one last time, I'm Gabby Jonas, TV2 News. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Gabby. Ohio's former governor Richard Celeste was at the Kent State bookstore earlier today, signing his new Kent State University Press book titled In the Heart of It All, An Unvarnished Account of My Life is Public Service. His book talks about his journey from Northeast Ohio to Yale, Oxford, the governor's residence, and beyond. Richard Frank Celeste was born on November 11, 1937 in Cleveland, Ohio, and served as Ohio's governor from January 10, 1983 to January 14, 1991.
Kent will be home to the American Roots Music Festival, which is sponsored by Wayside Furniture. The festival will take place on Friday, April 28th. The festival will feature performances by Eric Street, Ella Choi, City of Invention, and many more.
Good evening, Portage County. I'm Abby Forbes, your Tuesday weather anchor, and let's take a little look at the weather out there right now. So right now it is 47 degrees outside, with it feeling a little chillier at 44. That is because of that wind chill going 6 miles per hour. But aside from that, we have a little bit of humidity out there right now, but it's not too sticky with it being 49% humidity. So looking closer at tonight and into tomorrow morning, we can see some of those clouds kind of part ways as we reach that midnight hour, but those clouds are going to come fully back into effect as we get into the morning tomorrow, with those temperatures continuing to drop from 47 to 35 as we get into the morning. So looking a little closer at tonight, like I said, we are at 47 degrees with it being a little bit cloudy and a slight wind chill out there, and the sunset is going to be a little later again at 8:16. That is because we are getting into the summer despite those cold temperatures still being our way. But that's all I have for right now. But later tonight, we'll be taking a little look at the weather for the rest of Ohio and into the week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Abby. Protesters marched in front of the Akron Justice Center on Monday evening, protesting the shooting death of Jalen Walker. Protesters then placed red carnations in front of the Justice Center when they arrived. The carnations held messages like, quote, justice. After laying down the flowers, the crowd started chanting as they continued their march.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine awarded more than $42 million today to support physical safety and security upgrades at 624 Ohio schools. The funding comes as part of the 5th round of Ohio's K-12 School Safety Grant Program. This new round of funding brings the total number of schools served by this program to 2,879, and the total amount of funding awarded to more than $215 million. In Portage County, schools in Brimfield, Suffield, Rootstown, Streetsboro, Maplewood, and Waterloo will receive funding.
The Raise the Wage Ohio Coalition is collecting signatures for a ballot measure that would raise the minimum wage in Ohio to $15 by 2026. Ohio's current minimum wage is currently $10.10, which is currently one of the lowest in the nation. If there is enough signatures collected, then the bill could be on the upcoming November ballot.
With doubts going around about re-election, President Biden announced he will be seeking a second term in office today. What does it mean for Americans and how the 2024 election will look?
And Tucker Carlson leaves Fox, how the network is responding.
Tomorrow's news leaders.
Today's top stories.
From an award-winning student newsroom.
This is TV2 News, truly Portage County.
Welcome back. President Biden announced today he is seeking a second term in office.
Our correspondent Anthony Leonardi has more details on the announcement. Hi, Anthony.
That's right, guys. President Biden will run for re-election in 2024. Let's get right into the details.
The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer.
President Biden announced his run for his second term earlier today, which is the same day that he announced his bid for the election in 2020. He says that the next year's election is a fight against Republican extremism and that his mission is to restore the country's character while preventing a second Trump term. According to an NBC News poll taken before Biden's announcement, only 26% of Americans thought he should run for another term, and almost half of those who opposed the second term said it was because of age. And after Biden's announcement, the First Lady, Jill Biden, took to Twitter just a few hours later. She wrote, "Just like 4 years ago, I am off to teach, and Joe launched his campaign. Let's finish the job." She also posted a picture of herself at Northern Virginia Community College where she teaches, along with the tweet. The First Lady is expected to make contributions in the campaign, but is busy for a few weeks ahead, which includes a dinner with South Korea's president and his wife. For more updates on presidential campaigns, be sure to visit kentwire.com. And for the last time this semester, I've been Anthony Leonardi. Have a great night, Portage County.
Welcome back to your weather forecast this evening, Portage County. Now let's take a closer look across Ohio tonight. So looking at Northeast Ohio, we can see that the temperatures are in a nice range from the mid-40s up into the 50s. So up in Ashtabula by the lake, it is colder as it usually is because of that lake effect at 43 degrees. Down in Mansfield, Worcester, and Canton, we are going to see it at 50 degrees. So looking a little bit more across the rest of Ohio, we can see the temperatures rise a little bit as we go to the west and to the south. Down in Cincinnati, it is going to be at 60 degrees, so that's a big difference from what it is up in Ashtabula. Here around us in Akron, it's at 49 degrees. In mid-Ohio, we're going to see ranges from 54 to 56 degrees and 57 degrees. So looking at the 7-day forecast for us here in Portage County, we can see the temperatures change a little bit, and we will also see a lot of clouds roll in and some rain come early into next week. So looking at the beginning of this week, we're going to see partly cloudy conditions Wednesday and Thursday, with the high being 54 on Wednesday and 63 on Thursday. Friday, that temperature is going to drop a little bit as that rain comes into play, and those showers are going to continue lightly on Saturday, a little bit heavier on Sunday, and then those light showers are going to continue on Monday and Tuesday, with the temperature continuing to drop as we get those showers. So that's all the weather I have for you this evening. I've been Abby Forbes. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Abby. Now, one of Fox News' popular media figures cut ties with the company yesterday.
CNN's Brian Todd has more details.
A stunning and sudden break between Tucker Carlson and the network that had embraced him at his most outrageous moments. Carlson abruptly pushed out at Fox News.
This was an action taken from the top levels of the network with the assent of its corporate parent, at minimum. It's just down.
So ends one of the most controversial runs in cable television history. Carlson's show, one of the highest rated ever on cable, but often full of xenophobic, anti-immigrant, conspiratorial rhetoric, much of it propelled by the host himself.
The outcome of our presidential election was seized from the hands of voters, where, of course, it rightly belongs.
He will be part of a chapter of Fox News where the hosts in the Trump era were unbridled and at times uncontrolled, defining their own direction.
During the COVID pandemic, Carlson often railed on the idea of encouraging people to get vaccinated.
The idea that you would force people to take medicine they don't want or need Is there a precedent for that in our lifetime? I honestly think this is the greatest scandal of my lifetime by far.
Some of his more disquieting moments came in the immediate aftermath of the January 6th attack on the Capitol, when Carlson repeatedly defended insurrectionists, then laid out a baseless theory that it was all an FBI false flag operation.
FBI operatives were organizing the attack on the Capitol.
That was something that really shocked many of his colleagues at Fox News. It led to objections from Chris Wallace and Brett Baer, both of whom were perhaps the top figures on the news side.
In the end, some pieces of litigation could have been instrumental in pushing Carlson out. The Dominion lawsuit settled for more than $750 million, where texts from Carlson were revealed showing he believed differently from what he said on air, saying about Donald Trump, "I hate him passionately. There isn't really an upside to Trump." And lawsuits filed by former Fox News producer Abby Grossberg against the network, claiming Carlson's show team engaged in rampant sexism, including texts she said were from Carlson using the C word to refer to former Trump lawyer Sidney Powell. Fox has said Grossberg's lawsuits were, quote, riddled with false allegations.
This has been a tremendously, I think, painful, even traumatic experience for Fox News to see all their inner communications get splayed out.
And following the firing of Carlson, CNN has fired Don Lemon. Lemon was fired after controversies with the anchor. This included comments he made on the air about Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. Lemon reportedly said Haley was, quote, not in her prime on air. More recently, other reports have surfaced saying he treats his female colleagues poorly. Lemon claimed that his agent told him about the firing and he said was, quote, stunned.
Now moving on, companies announced layoffs. Manufacturing giant 3M made the announcement today as it joins others in the manufacturing sector bracing for a possible recession. The company plans to lay off 6,000 workers worldwide, and it expects to save up to $900 million a year. The new layoffs are part of a major restructuring plan that will include several management changes, and it comes after 3M reported earnings and sales fell from the previous year.
And Disney says it's laying off several thousand workers across the company this week. The cuts affect its parks entertainment division and experiences and products division, as well as ESPN. This is the second of 3 waves of layoffs for a total elimination of 7,000 jobs. That's about 3% of Disney's global workforce. Chief Executive Bob Iger says the goal is to save $5.5 billion in costs.
Now, it's not unusual for food pictures and diner recipes to be shared on social media. But the latest craze making the rounds on TikTok is water recipes.
Basically adding flavored syrups and powders to water in order to drink more of it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither gets a registered dietitian's take on whether this is a healthy way to stay hydrated.
It may make drinking water easier for those who don't care for it.
Water is very important, not just for hydration, but to be able to digest our food, have regularity and things like that as well.
The TikTok trend to add flavored syrups and powders to water can change how it tastes, but is it a healthy way to keep hydrated? Clinical dietitian Bridget Dewan with Orlando Health says it's important to listen to your thirst cues.
We actually kind of talk about all fluid. So the goal is about 13 cups of fluid for adult males and about 9 cups for adult females. And this includes all fluid. So we have to factor in, yes, coffee counts, soda counts, juice counts.
If you're swapping out soda for water with sugar-free syrups or powders, Dewan says that's a good substitution. However, drinking too many fluids can lead to low levels of sodium in your body and lead to a potentially dangerous condition called hyponatremia. Symptoms include nausea or vomiting, headache, confusion or fatigue, loss of energy, muscle weakness, or cramps.
Too much water is a bad thing. Too little water is a bad thing. So it's a very good balance of what our body needs water for on a day-to-day basis.
If you're switching up your hydration routine and have questions, Dewan says it's best to talk to your doctor or registered dietitian first. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Cleveland Cavaliers face elimination at home tonight. Find out more after the break.
And now, your TV2 Sports Report.
Welcome back. Please join me as we take a look at the NHL and NBA playoffs. But let's start things off on the shores of Lake Erie, because tonight the Cleveland Cavaliers host the New York Knicks for Game 5 of their first round playoff series. This is a rather crucial game for the Cavs as they enter this game down 3-1 and are staring down elimination. If the Cavs want to win, no doubt it will be on the backs of their two all-star guards, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, who have both underperformed so far this series. There's also the fact that the Knicks have been able to out-rebound the Cavs in spite of Cleveland's 2 7-footers in Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. The tip-off is scheduled for 7 p.m. Be sure to catch the game on Bally Sports Ohio. But in other NBA news, we have Game 4 of the Grizzlies and the Lakers. LeBron James, keep an eye on him. He will be important later, just like usual. But for now, we'll look at Ja Morant because he bumps Jared Vanderbilt and lays it in. And do you like buzzer beaters? I do too. Off the screen from Xavier Tillman, Desmond Bane hits a 3 to beat the buzzer at the end of the halftime as the Lakers lead 2. And another buzzer beater, why don't we? This time it's a dunk from Ja Morant splitting 2 defenders and ending off the third with a 2-point lead for the Grizzlies. And on a pretty chaotic possession here, Rui Hachimura gets blocked by Jaren Jackson Jr. The Grizzlies on the fast break. Desmond Bane, he gives the Grizzlies a 2-point lead, and with less than a second remaining, LeBron James ties things up with a layup. And LeBron James, he'd finished with 20 points and 20 rebounds. That's about 40 in case you didn't know, Dylan Brooks. Well, the Lakers, they would go on to win 117-111 to take a 3-1 series lead. It's not looking good for the Grizzlies. Now, I say we transition a little bit because we have to look at the NHL playoffs too between the Maple Leafs and Lightning for Game 4. See, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they would take a 4-1 lead in the second period, especially off this goal from Alex Killorn, his second goal of the game. Now in the third period, Austin Matthews, the defending Hart Memorial recipient, he scores, and he would actually get another goal right here again for his second goal of the game to bring it within a 1-score game. Now, they're getting pretty desperate here. Toronto, they really need a goal here, and none other than Morgan Riley, the Tampa Destroyer. He ties things up at 4 goals apiece. This game would eventually go into overtime, and it is a pretty crucial game for both teams. But what happened, you ask? Well, I'll tell you, because on the Leafs power play, Mark Giordano, he shoots, and it's tipped in by Alexander Kerfoot, who gets the game-winning goal. The Maple Leafs win 5-4 in overtime, and the Maple Leafs lead the series 3-1. Well, that is all I have for today for the last time of this semester. Be sure to follow our socials at TV2 KSU Sports for all sports-related updates within the area. I'm Michael Neenan. Let's get back to the news.
We are saying goodbye to one of our graduating seniors just after the break.
Welcome back, Portage County. Those of you watching tonight know me as the Tuesday weather anchor, but I know a lot of people in this newsroom know me as a reporter who will do just about anything for a good stand-up shot. I joined TV2 my second semester freshman year, but I wasn't on camera. I actually worked floor crew and audio up until the first semester of my junior year. I took broadcast reporting that semester, and I can remember as clear as day, Shane Troiano pointed at me one day in the studio and told me that I had to apply to be a reporter the following semester. I did, partially because I was scared of Shane, but also because I found my passion. I became a reporter and loved every second of it, and I don't think I would have gotten the internship I did last summer if I didn't have the experience from TV2. But the professional experience, while amazing, pales in comparison to the personable experiences I've had here. I couldn't ask for a better group of people to surround myself with every day in the newsroom, and I couldn't even name everyone that has made my experience what it is. But I will give a little shout out to our amazing producer of this newscast, Chris Abreu, who has saved my life several times, literally and figuratively. So thank you, and thank you, TV2, for giving everything you have given to me.
Wow. I can't believe that you're leaving.
Me neither.
That's wild, man. We're losing you. We're losing Chris soon. It's sad.
But
it's sad.
I don't know. Like, I guess I'm gonna ask, what's your best memory for this semester or in general?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, joining weather has been such a crazy experience for me. I joined because I wanted to improve my improv skills.
Oh.
And it's been fun, you know?
Yeah.
Not improving the weather. We have actual weather data, but actually getting to just kind of talk off the fly and stuff like that.
There you go.
We're gonna miss you, that's for sure.
We are gonna miss you, Abby.
Guys.
Well, that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
For updates on all these stories and more, visit KentWired.com and follow us on social media on all platforms at KentWired. I'm Josh Aponte.
I'm Nuried Hurtado.
And I've been Abby Forbes. Have a great evening, Portage County.